Home Show.
Cindy from Pawtucket, Rhode Island, has a question about vaulted ventilation.
She just bought this 1960 Cape Cod style home. Isn't that a pretty house? These houses are all over that part of the world. Cindy writes...
It's very typical of that part of the country.
Very much, yeah. That's why they call it a Cape Cod style house. Going out on a limb with that one. All right, so Cindy writes, it has vaulted ceilings and no access, though, to up in the attic. He says there was an original gable vent that's now covered with siding. He says there's a newer roof with ridge vents, however, no soffits. What do you recommend I do to create flow, or do I not need to do any since it's a closed space?
Okay, there's two ways to handle this. One is if you're going to open it up, you're going to put soffit vents in, and you're going to make sure on the bottom of the roof decking you have about 3/4 of an inch airspace that's clear from the bottom to the top. Just by putting soffit vents in, and people make this mistake all the time, and that vaulted ceiling is full of insulation, so there's no airflow, it's never going to get to the top to begin with. So what you're doing is you're introducing unconditioned air, which is going to have water in it, vapor, humidity, however you want to talk about it, and it's just going to get trapped up in there and fester on itself. And then, being in Rhode Island, if you get a good freeze, it's going to turn into a solid, and it's going to freeze up there, and you're going to have ice. And when you have ice, hey, then it's going to melt. When it melts, it becomes water. Then all of a sudden, you get a drip through your ceiling, and that's not a good thing. I personally, if I were you, or this person, I should say, I would get rid of the ridge vent, seal the whole space up nice and tight. Don't introduce any outside air if you're going to keep the vault the way it is, and that's going to be your safest bet. That not only is a rule for in cold climates, but you come down here to Houston and the Gulf Coast, it's the same rule. Here it doesn't freeze. It just gets to be a wet mess that grows mold because of the heat. So there's a little bit different reaction from it being opened and nowhere to go. Either way, you either ventilate it and let it breathe, or you tighten it down and don't let any air in there.
So what would your preference be?
I think in this case, get rid of the ridge vent, don't put soffit vents in, and cap the top, and keep it just an insulation sandwich with no introduction of outside air because of the freezes in the wintertime.
All right. Is that hard to do, Tom, since there's already a ridge vent up there?
No, you'd end up just taking it off. And if there's it depends how big of a slot they cut. If it's a small slot, they can come across with a little piece of metal, then go ahead and put the ridge cap over the top. There's ways to handle this, and I bet you different roofers will have different solutions for it, but it's not something that is a bad thing. But right now is in the summertime, the air is going to want to drop down in there, and probably not as much in the wintertime, I don't know, but having a ridge vent with no soffit vents makes no sense, and I think it would do more harm than good. But adding soffits, I think, would really cause a problem.
All right. Do you have a question? We'll solve your problems for you. Easy peasy. Just go to HomeShowRadio.com, click on that Ask Tom form, fill it in, send it in, and we'll do a video just like this. We answer questions every day, 365 days a year, and you can find them posted every day at HomeShowRadio.com, our Facebook channel, and our YouTube channel.